Chapter 191. The cry of help from the little skeleton. A warm sensation drew closer as Emily and Phoebe felt it at the same time. Emily felt it on her thighs and Phoebe felt it on her pert butt. When Han Sha-o's hand landed on Emily's thigh, her body stiffened as she thought that Han Sha-o was trying to do something funny at this time. She moved her thigh away in a bit of an admonishment. In regards to this, Han Sha-o's hand suddenly moved backward thanks to her movements and landed on Phoebe's pert well-rounded butt. Oomph! A soft cry emitted from Phoebe's mouth. Han Sha-o could see her cheeks blushing furiously red in the darkness. As a mage, Emily had extremely thick clothing on, but as a sword master Phoebe was much more resistant to the cold, so her clothes weren't that thick. In addition, a sword master needed to be able to jump over rocks and be agile in battle. She was wearing a normal outfit on the lower part of her body, and so Han Sha-o could clearly feel the fullness of her buttocks when his hand landed on them. Phoebe's face was a flaming red in the darkness as her heart thumped rapidly. How dare the staring pervert treat me like this in such a place? How wicked! Her heart racing, Phoebe craned her neck in Han Sha-o's direction to give him a firm glare. Han Sha-o was quite enjoying himself and couldn't help but turn his head to look at her as well. When their eyes met, he made a funny face at her. There was no light within the cave, but because the three were very close to each other, Phoebe could still see Han Sha-o's face. She couldn't do anything else but continue to curse at his daringness inwardly. Han Sha-o had been planning on sending warmth to Emily, but had ended up touching Phoebe instead due to Emily's shyness. Because he'd already been intimate with Phoebe in Valen City and the two of them had basically confirmed their relationship, Han Sha-o wasn't going to be any sort of gentleman now. He decided to go with the flow and placed his hand firmly on Phoebe's butt, greedily kneading it. It felt damn good doing so, as the soft roundness of her butt still gave him a marvelous sensation through the clothing. Phoebe, however, had never been so treated. Her body temperature continued to rise and her originally calm breathing began to become a bit heavier. Emily and Phoebe's vision were both affected in such a dark place, but Han Sha-o could clearly see everything around him. Not only was Phoebe's face blushing red and her eyes misty, she was breathing hot air out from her cherry red lips. Han Sha-o saw it very clearly and saw how alluring her expression was right now. He got a lot more into it and became even more bold with his movements. His hand suddenly felt that the thin layer of clothing was an unbearable obstruction. He tugged her shirt upwards and then placed his hand on her smooth and warm waist. As Phoebe's breathing grew heavier, he moved his hand down towards her well-rounded butt. In this regard, Phoebe's neck and face were red as she found it more difficult than ever to control her panting. She couldn't help but moan softly. Just as Han Sha-o was thoroughly enjoying himself and wanted to continue, he suddenly heard Emily cough softly and a sharp pain travel from his waist as if she'd pinched him. If it had been anyone else, Han Sha-o likely would have felt a bit awkward, but Emily and Han Sha-o had long since slept together countless times, so he had no reservations around her at all. He turned his head to look at her and moved his right leg, shifting his knee behind Emily's butt and bumping her with his knee. Emily was completely irritated by his actions, thinking that he was simply too bold. Not only was he violating Phoebe right in front of her, but he was doing the same thing to her as well. Her slender hands had been resting on his waist after her pinch, but now she made up her mind and slowly moved it downwards. She gave it a firm pinch when she'd reached her destination. Ow! Exclamation mark! A weird cry suddenly burst from Han Sha-o's mouth. His proud lower body had been given a firm pinch and he couldn't help but yell out in pain. He'd been planning on violating both girls but abruptly retracted his hands and feet. What's wrong? What happened to you? Phoebe had been losing her composure in her roused state when she immediately snapped back to herself after hearing Han Sha-o's cries, turning around to ask Han Sha-o with some panic. There was a squirrel inside that probably bit him. It's probably flown out of the hole by now. Emily's odd voice sounded non-committally in the darkness. Han Sha-o could hear the glee in her voice. Little hussy, you dared pinch me even there. See how I take care of you next time. Han Sha-o grit his teeth and started plotting on how he would punish Emily. Is that right, Brian? Emily asked happily and on purpose when she saw that Han Sha-o wasn't agreeing with her. Yes, a wicked squirrel bit me. I'm going to make it suffer if I catch it. Han Sha-o's mouth was bitter from his inability to speak the truth. Not only did he have to swallow what had happened, but he had play along with Emily as well. We invaded its territory. It's only right that it treats us thus. Don't think of killing people and setting things on fire every day. Phoebe's voice only regained its customary coolness now. "Miss Phoebe, your body temperature is a bit high and you were panting a bit loudly just now. Did you catch a chill from traveling in the cold wind the past 2 days?" Emily was quite happy to see Han Shao-oh's discomforted state. It was as if her repressed emotions had been vented all at once and she gave no thought to the threat in his voice. However, she didn't feel satisfied doing this only to Han Shao. An evil thought struck Emily as she pretended to ask Phoebe, I guess so." Phoebe's cheeks reddened again with Emily's question as she responded with some awkwardness. "Brian, look at how you've made Miss Phoebe catch a cold. Why aren't you holding her tighter to warm her up? However, don't take advantage of her." Hey, Emily chuckled. Both Han Shao and Phoebe were a bit awkward after hearing these words. There was an obvious intent in them and Phoebe could naturally deduce that their embarrassing moments had been discovered by Emily just now. She couldn't help but glare ferociously at Han Shao. With the way things were, Han Shao naturally understood that it wasn't very possible to take advantage of Phoebe or Emily again. To someone as perverted as Han Shao, he wouldn't feel a thing even if he stood naked on a winter night like this. In order to prevent Emily from speaking further, Han Shao said, "I need to go relieve myself. You ladies rest here." He didn't wait for them to speak before struggling out of the hole. When he was a few steps away, he sat down cross-legged in a snowdrift and began to circulate his magical yuan. When Han Shao felt himself enter an ideal state with circulating his magical yuan, a sudden strong impulse suddenly tugged on his soul. It was a bizarre summons that was reflected in his heart like a voice carrying a message from the depths of his soul and immediately wanted to return to his side. Han Shao was greatly startled and didn't know what was going on. However, when he cleared his mind of stray thoughts and focused his concentration, he suddenly discovered a marvelous connection that had been unaffected by distance. Or perhaps it had always existed but he'd only discovered it now. It was a summons from the little skeleton in the other dimension. When Han Shao felt this cry carry with it a plea for help, he immediately used the most basic of skeleton summoning spells and followed this weak but unbreakable connection to summon the little skeleton. The little skeleton creaked as he stood in front of Han Shao, still waving his bone dagger around like he'd weathered a great battle. The bones of his body were cracked and the 7 boys' spurs on his back seemed a bit dull, perhaps because they had been cutting through things for a long time. Judging from the little skeleton's body condition and current motions, Han Shao could be certain that the little skeleton had fought with creatures in the other dimension, and he knew clearly that it had been the little skeleton crying out for help earlier. This all seemed rather fantastical. Chapter 192 Valley of Sunshine. Some of his bones had been broken and the little skeleton suddenly seemed at a loss as he slowly stopped waving the bone dagger about. Han Shao hadn't treated the little skeleton as an ordinary dark creature since the very beginning. From the moment that he began practicing necromancy magic and summoned this little skeleton, he had become Han Shao's indispensable companion. Before he'd learned how to fight, the little skeleton had released Han Shao from the drudgery of daily chores and had helped him take out the trash and clean. When Han Shao had used magical yuan to refine him, the little skeleton was even less of an ordinary summoned creature to him. The former had assumed an essential role whenever Han Shao met danger in the future, always assisting him in his escape. But now Han Shao discovered that the little skeleton had a marvelous connection with him, similar to how he had one with it. Han Shao had never thought of nor attempted to discover the little skeleton's matters or methods in the other dimension. If he hadn't concentrated his attention this time, he might have missed the little skeleton's cry for help, and the little skeleton might no longer exist now. A few traces of guilt grew in Han Shao's heart when his thoughts traveled down this path. His necromancy magic would have to reach new heights before he would be able to understand what had happened to the little skeleton in the other dimension, and if there were any other existences in that world apart from regularly summoned dark creatures. It was even more impossible for him to communicate with the other beings in the other dimension for the time being. As Han Shao closed his eyes and attempted to communicate with the little skeleton, he discovered that the little skeleton seemed to have realized that it was in different surroundings. His wildly flailing arms and legs slowed down as his empty eye sockets looked around in confusion, abruptly quieting down when he looked in Han Shao-Oh's direction. Han Shao could clearly feel the little skeleton's chaotic presence calm down. It was as if the little skeleton realized that the danger was gone with Han Shao-Oh's appearance, that he was truly safe. It was a speechless kind of trust and innate dependence that was similar to how a naughty child would sob endlessly in front of a fierce beast but would think his parents would protect him no matter if his parents actually could or not. A baffling sensation suddenly surged into Han Shao-Oh's heart, making his emotions complex. An exceedingly intricate emotion wrapped around his heart, giving him the illusion for a second that this little skeleton made of bones was like his child. It was a feeling that he never wanted to be apart from the little skeleton. "Alright, it's alright now." Han Shao walked over to the little skeleton very naturally and reached out a hand to stroke the little skeleton's skull, speaking softly in comfort. Han Shao could clearly feel that this simple word of comfort brought immediate comfort to the little skeleton. "Who are you talking to?" Emily and Phoebe walked out from the tree hole at the same time, with Phoebe out in front. She was a bit jealous when she heard Han Shao's tender voice, thinking that Han Shao was speaking to another woman, so she asked before she could even see who it was. But when she saw Han Shao pat the little skeleton's head benevolently and his tone of soft tenderness that she'd never heard before, she immediately lost her jealousy and looked a bit oddly at Han Shao. Since history began, the necromancers of the Profound Continent only viewed their summoned dark creatures as tools. Phoebe had never heard of a necromancer treating a dark creature as kindly and as friendly as Han Shao was doing. Therefore, when she saw his actions, her heart was immediately filled with shock. Her thoughts raced as she mused that this little skeleton was likely this amazing because his master also treated him differently. It looked like Han Shao's mysteries didn't stem from his wondrous martial arts techniques, but rather his methods were indeed a bit different from others. He turned his head to look at Phoebe and Emily with a smile, sweeping his gaze across a stunningly beautiful face and another quietly pretty face. He noted that they seemed to be in good spirits and asked with a smile, "Did you guys get a good rest?" "Yes, we can keep going if that's alright with you." Emily felt that she could levitate again for a while after some meditation, and so she raised this suggestion. The senior executives of the Dark Mantle had to learn of the information she held in her hand as soon as possible. They needed to execute their plan against Bob Asher as soon as possible. As a Dark Mantle member, Emily knew that the timing of action was paramount and that time could have a heaven and earth difference on the results. This was why she was in such a hurry. "Alright then, let's go." Han Shao didn't say any incessant chatter as he grabbed the little skeleton's waist and flashed to where Phoebe was. He reached out another hand and grabbed her soft waist that was devoid of any fat flying through the air. The sun was rising again and its rays dyed everything a faint red, adding some color to the silver world beneath it. It was akin to a fair-skinned girl suddenly blushing from shyness. A towering mountain and valley sprawled out beneath them. Some magical creatures, unafraid of the cold, emerged from cover and probed with their sharp claws. Life began to appear in the mountain valley beneath the warmth of the winter sun. Last night's chill was chased out of Emily's body thanks to the effects of the sun. Her beautiful face was upturned towards the warm light as she revealed a sweet smile. She looked with interest at the scene below her, seeming to want to imprint the view into her heart. "It's so beautiful," Phoebe said softly in Han Shao's grasp as her eyes sparkled. Han Shao also took a quick glance at their surroundings upon hearing her words, grunting with agreement and then flying forward in silence. Waxing eloquently in front of a beautiful scene was something women liked to do. He only wanted to get to the stronghold as quickly as possible and complete his mission. After several more hours and traveling over two small mountain valleys, Han Shao cast his eyes ahead again. The sun was high in the sky at this point and the mountain valley was no longer covered in snow. The ground was clean and neat, with short buildings of all sorts of architectural styles scattered in rows in the small mountain valley. Different looking humans, orcs and elves were walking out of their homes onto the clean and neat streets, thoroughly bundled up in an assortment of interesting styles of dress. "We're almost there, let's travel the rest of the way on foot." Emily could easily see this from afar thanks to the bright sunlight. She called out softly in obvious joy. This place was similar to the town of Drill, just a bit more complex. Although there were hotels and places where one could enjoy themselves, the adventurers and merchants within Drill were all basically from the Lancelot Empire and governed by the Empire's soldiers. The adventurers and merchants here, however, were from the Lancelot and Casey Empires as well as the Ark tribes. There were also those from further away or minorities that called the Kurland Grand Canyon their home. Of course, such a diverse place was naturally not under the jurisdiction of any single country. The one maintaining order is the greatest power within the Valley of Sunshine. They're in charge of protecting everyone's interests in transactions and preventing the incursion from thieves. In this regard, all three countries have their own spheres of influence here. When one side is strong enough to the point where the other two have no objections, that sphere will take over in maintaining order and exact heavy tolls from the merchants and adventurers to run this town. However, this status quo isn't set in stone. If another side can prove that they are stronger than the other two, then the one upholding order will change. Currently the ones upholding order is the Kyra mercenary band from the Casey Empire. Emily explained to the other two as they landed and proceeded on foot to the Valley of Sunshine. If the ones upholding order act on behalf of their country, then won't that infringe on the rights and profits of adventurers and merchants from other countries? Han Shao asked after thinking over this briefly. Don't worry, no matter which country they were originally from, they would never act on behalf of their own country when they become the power upholding order. Otherwise they will be ostracized by all the adventurers and merchants and will never have the right to regain power again. There are no nationalities within the Valley of Sunshine. Not participating in conflicts between countries is the first rule that they must follow. Emily smiled faintly as she explained this to Han Shao. He nodded to express his understanding, privately thinking that this was quite an interesting place. All sorts of people were here for their own interests. The fees gained from the transactions conducted between the three countries must be quite a sum indeed. Han Shao naturally wasn't too familiar with these common sense rules, so Emily and Phoebe took turns in explaining them to him along the way. Han Shao listened carefully until they reached the border control office of the Valley of Sunshine. High fences of metal were erected here as knights in gray armor patrolled behind them with distant expressions. Han Shao gleaned from Emily and Phoebe's conversation that these were the members of the Casey Empire's Kyra mercenary band. It was rather astonishing that there were 2,000 to 3,000 people in this mercenary band. There were experts of all professions who practiced diligently day and night. Their battle strength was even stronger than the standing army of other countries. They had a strict code of conduct and proper division of duties. In the year that they'd been assigned to the security of the Valley of Sunshine, they'd beaten back raids from robbers several times, displaying a competency that the merchants and adventurers within the valley were rather satisfied fault with. Where are you three coming from? Do you have passage tokens or do you need to apply for them now? A tall, somewhat handsome knight walked over from the metal fences and was quite polite when he saw Phoebe and Emily walk over. A trace of a mesmerizing smile played about his lips as he asked gently, "I'm from the Boost Merchant Guild and they're with me. This is my token." Phoebe's expression was coldly aloof as she took out a token from her space ring, handing it over coolly. The mature knight reached out respectfully to take Phoebe's token and took a close look at it. He handed it back with a smile and said urbanely, "No problem, the Valley of Sunshine welcomes your arrival. Our Kyra mercenary band will ensure your safety and the security of your belongings." Phoebe took out a bag of gold coins and threw it onto a table near the fence with a thunk. She had her usual distant and reserved manner when dealing with outsiders. "Our fees." Phoebe turned to look at Han Shao afterwards and reached out with her slender jade hands to wrap them around Han Shao's arm. The proud haughtiness faded from her face as she smiled. "Let's go, we can go in now." Seeing such a stunning beauty such as Phoebe paid no heed to the men around her and even gave off an aura that rebuffed all attempts to approach her, then suddenly underwent such drastic change in attitude to wait upon Han Shao immediately drew looks of admiration and envy from the mercenaries. However, Those looks changed to ones of odd puzzlement when they saw Han Sha-o tug along the little skeleton in his wake. They didn't say anything, however, seeming to be used to seeing a lot of weird characters. It didn't seem too out of the ordinary that an adventurer had a dark creature in his wake. Everyone was a bit vain at heart. When he saw the others look at him with such admiration, Han Sha-o also felt quite proud. Phoebe is really showing me some face here. Come on, let's go you. When Emily saw Han Sha-o stop where he stood wreathed in smiles, she knew exactly what he was thinking about and couldn't help but roll her eyes at him. She snorted in laughter and pushed him from behind. Han Sha-o laughed heartily as he crossed through the fence while being subjected to endless looks of envy walking into the Valley of Sunshine. Chapter 193, Place of Extreme Water. Han Sha-o took a stroll around the entire valley and discovered that the Valley of Sunshine was formed by interestingly shaped buildings. These buildings were built from different materials such as durable gray rocks or wood from 100-year-old trees. Some were round and others pointy with a chimney. It was because so many merchants and adventurers from various countries coexisted here that caused the architectural style to also be heavily influenced in a multitude of different ways. Early in the morning, inhabitants walked out of their homes to shovel away snowfall that had accumulated from the previous night, clearing the space in front of their door. This was also similar to a small city, as there were all sorts of vendors and stalls here displaying their wares from a variety of countries. These stalls all belong to small merchants. The larger merchants only spend a few days here because they have long since been in contact with their business partners and are just here to conclude the transactions. It wasn't Phoebe's first visit to the valley. She held on to Han Sha-o's arm with her slender fingers and explained in a soft voice, "Alright, you guys have fun shopping. I'm going to take care of business first. When you tire later, you can rest in the last store on this street. I'll arrange for someone to meet you there." Emily's thoughts were completely preoccupied by the mission. Nodding, Han Sha-o understood that she was quite anxious and said, "Go and take care of business. We'll come find you later." A thought struck Phoebe after Emily left as she suddenly recalled, "Oh right, I haven't had time to collect the materials on the list that you gave me. There are many rarities here from other countries. Why don't we take a look around? Maybe we can find some of the materials you need." Han Sha-o finally recalled that he'd once asked Phoebe to help him collect the materials he would need to refine a wood elite zombie. The Yin Demon Cave and Earth Elite Zombie were operating without a hitch back in the Cemetery of Death, but he had yet to obtain all the materials required for the wood elite zombie. Han Sha-o readily agreed to Phoebe's suggestion. Thus, Han Sha-o followed behind her and started making his way through shops, starting with the first stall. Phoebe was patently very happy to have Han Sha-o's companionship. As the leader of a guild, once she started conducting a transaction, she would transform into a very shrewd person. She was able to identify the true price of ingredients that Han Sha-o needed amongst the stalls they passed without a flicker in expression. She paid 7,000 gold coins without hesitation just to get Han Sha-o a vital ingredient that he had been lacking. When Han Sha-o took out his crystal card to pay, Phoebe served him with a fierce glare, saying, "You still have some gold coins stored with me. What are you taking your crystal card out for?" Exclamation mark. Han Sha-o was speechless and decided to stay out of this matter. He continued to stand by Phoebe's side and watched her barter with several merchants with a distant expression. There were indeed many rare materials within the Valley of Sunshine. 2 vendors had stock of black iron ore and black gold ore that couldn't even be found within the empire. There were even a few items that had been banned by the country's governments that were openly placed on stalls to attract customers. There were a few strong aphrodisiacs, as well as powder that could melt corpses with a pinch. There were even strong weapons that had just been developed, along with the cores and bones of some strong magical creatures. Everything that one would want could be found here. Some of the owners of the stalls were humans while others were orcs or elves. There was even an interesting merman laying half submerged within the water. Because they all used the human language to communicate, there were no barriers of communication. When the two had made a full circuit of the premises, they both felt that this trip had been worth it, as some rare materials had gotten added to their space rings. "Alright, that's good. Let's go meet up with Emily first the day. We can't possibly finish perusing all the stalls in the valley in a single day. As long as we pay particular attention, I think we should be able to collect all the ingredients you need." Phoebe was a bit fatigued after entering more than a dozen stalls and bargaining heatedly with all their owners. She raised this suggestion to Han Shao after they walked out of the latest stall. The skies over the valley had darkened due to the setting sun unbeknownst to either of them. The entire valley was cloaked in a red light as dusk began. Han Shao felt that Emily was most likely done reporting her matters after so much time had passed, and he too was eager to find out how they'd gone. He directed Phoebe to the place that Emily had mentioned when she raised her suggestion. Because he didn't know what danger the little skeleton had met in the other dimension, Han Shao didn't send the little skeleton back and kept the latter by his side. There were all sorts of unconventional characters within the valley, so Han Shao didn't stand out that much with a little skeletal warrior by his side. On their way to Emily's predefined place, however, the little skeleton suddenly stopped in front of a stall without moving its empty eye sockets, staring at the door, seemingly attracted by something at that very moment. "What's wrong?" Phoebe also stopped when she saw that Han Shao and the little skeleton had stopped. She paused and looked back in surprise. Something inside is calling out to him. Han Shao's expression was quite bizarre as he looked at Phoebe and then shifted his gaze back at the little skeleton. Phoebe had only been a bit confused when her perplexed expression immediately turned into one of shock. She looked around and walked over to Han Shao when she confirmed that no one was paying attention to them. She looked at the little skeleton with incredulity. "You mean he has his own thoughts?" Nodding, Han Shao said firmly, "Yes, I'm sure this is the case. I don't know what's going on either, so don't ask me anything because I don't know when this happened either." Phoebe was even more befuddled with Han Shao's words as bewilderment suffused her expression. When she raised her head to look at the store, she exclaimed in surprise. Han Shao looked back at her for an explanation. "Why is it this store? It's not my first time in the Valley of Sunshine, but I've never seen this store open for business. I think that those inside aren't willing to sell anything, otherwise they wouldn't be concealing their front door." This was indeed the case. All the stores and stalls on this broad street strived mightily to invite and attract customers to visit. Only this one covered its front door like no one was home and appeared quite at odds with everything else on this street. The little skeleton suddenly walked towards the store without Han Shao's order. He raised his hand to push open the door. Contrary to his expectations, the door lightly creaked open and revealed a stone-paved hallway. Phoebe blinked and said with some hesitation, "It's against the rules to enter someone's store against their volition." "Is there someone inside? Is there someone inside?" Han Shao nodded and followed behind the little skeleton. He suddenly started talking loudly as if to ascertain if someone was inside or not. Sadly, he received no response after calling out a few times, and the little skeleton naturally didn't understand what rules were. He hurtled deep into the structure. Spreading out his hands, Han Shao said, "There's no one in here anyways. It shouldn't matter if we go in and take a look." He turned and shut the door that the little skeleton had opened, casting a glance at Phoebe and taking her by the hand to walk inside. The little skeleton made straight for a round well in the back garden. He stood by the well and looked inside, seeming to be looking at something. When Han Shao and Phoebe drew close, Han Shao suddenly felt a frosty evil presence exuding from the well, as if an enormous demon was inside. "Something's wrong!" The temperature is too low here, even I feel a bit cold. Phoebe's body suddenly trembled as she looked at Han Shao. "That's right, this is a place of extreme water, a place that I need to refine water elite zombies. The thick water chi within has been absorbed by wraiths and transformed them to water demons." Han Shao was overjoyed. He sensed closely and could clearly feel the thick water chi within and two currents of frosty sinister water chi. Han Shao immediately understood that the water elements within were being absorbed by the two water demons. Chapter 194, Battling the Blood Water Demons. The round well was so deep that it could hide a person's body. The green-colored stones that formed it were cold to the touch. The biting chill traveled deep into his bones. Han Shao could feel the abundant water chi within the well as he stood next to it. The two sinister presences within also stirred to action, possibly because they sensed the presence of living beings. Han Shao was absolutely overjoyed to discover that a place of extreme water was located at the bottom of a deep well in such a place. If he was able to refine all of the zombies of the 5 elements, then the great formation of the divine zombies and 5 elements could be formed and devastating power could be brought forth. Han Shao had already located places of extreme earth and wood. If he added this place of extreme water, then he'd be one step closer to successfully reaching his goal. As Han Shao was rejoicing, Phoebe suddenly frowned. It seems to have gotten colder. You said this is a place of extreme water. What did you mean by that? 2 bone-piercing waves of cold suddenly crept out from the deep well. The well had been calm before the water became agitated and splashed out all over. Clouds of white mist rose from the well and covered the yard. They're coming. Han Shao snorted coldly and grabbed Phoebe. He said seriously, the water demons are coming out to make trouble. Be careful. The chi within the place of extreme water was extremely concentrated. If anyone drowned here, their soul wouldn't disperse immediately. With the water chi sustaining it, it would have to absorb only a small amount before forming a water demon. When water demons absorbed water chi, the strength of the soul would greatly increase and it could then use specialized powers to manipulate the water chi and attack living creatures that approached. Han Shao understood all of this when he researched the ways to refine the elite zombies. Therefore, when he sensed the 2 sinister presences within the well, he immediately understood that 2 water demons had been somehow created. However, what he didn't understand was why the little skeleton could sense this. What was it that existed here that could have attracted him? The little skeleton wielded its bone dagger and stood next to the deep well, his eyes staring into it. Han Shao didn't know what he was waiting for and what he'd planned on buying. The water chi crept throughout the yard in the form of a thick dense mist. The scenery and the surroundings were also affected and grew increasingly blurry and indistinct. The water chi was encompassed in the same sinister presence. It had been cold to begin with and now temperature decreased even more rapidly. I can't see anything, Phoebe cried out in surprise. This is the water demons manipulating the water chi to form the water curtain. They'll attack us through the cover of the curtain, Han Shao said calmly from the side, calming Phoebe's madly thumping heart. Phoebe's vision was only on the level of an ordinary person. Even though she'd trained her fighting aura, her eyes were barely sharper than that of an ordinary person. There was a world of difference between herself and a demon practitioner such as Han Shao. Therefore, although her vision was obscured, Han Shao's eyes were unaffected at all. There seemed to be silver lightning flashing through his eyes as he looked calmly through the white mist. Suddenly the bubbling water within the well shot out like a fountain. The clear water droplets seemed to have a life of their own as they formed columns that churned towards Han Shao and Phoebe. A sinister and chilly presence emanated from the well. Even with Han Shao's durable body, he too began to feel a hint of coldness. The water-formed columns were in a state between liquid and solid, reaching for Han Shao and Phoebe's body like a pliable eel. Looking for death, Han Shao grinned a rather ruthless grin. Red spell fire suddenly flared to life in his hands like evil fire looking to incinerate everything in its path, standing at attention in front of Han Shao and Phoebe's bodies. The surrounding frosty presence immediately started cracking and popping as soon as the red spell fire appeared, and its fiery heat spread throughout the vicinity, immediately warming Phoebe's body. The several hundred eel-like columns evaporated as they neared Han Shao's red spell fire. 2 ugly low roars sounded from within the well like the final cries for help of a drowning person. 2 red figures shot out from within, seemingly formed of red blood and continuously distorting in the air. They finally settled into the figure of a man and a woman, but a shade was still a shade in the end, and they possess no visible features. Water blood demons. Han Shao started and looked askance at the 2 shadows. Water demons resided in places of extreme water. If they harmed too many life forms, they would absorb the blood as well. Blood was also a liquid and had the same characteristics as water. The boiling blood of a life form near death held another sort of wondrous power. The water demons would absorb this blood, and when enough blood was absorbed, they would be able to evolve into the more powerful and cruel blood water demon. When the water demons formed blood water demons, not only would they be able to manipulate the water chi within places of extreme water, but they would even be able to manipulate the blood of living beings. They were very difficult to face off against, and Han Han Sha-o was quite surprised to see two blood water demons appear in front of him. Contrary to other bloodthirsty creatures, the blood water demon could cover the scent of blood on their bodies with the power of water. This was why Han Shu hadn't smelled the blood even with his sensitive nose. The two blood water demons emerged from the well and wavered in the air, pouncing toward Han Sha-o and Phoebe like two bloody clouds. The evil power suddenly suffused the area around Han Sha-o and Phoebe. Han Sha-o immediately felt the blood in his body boil and it seemed to want to break free of his control. He turned to see that Phoebe was in even more dire straits. Two streams of blood were already flowing out of her nose and her charming face was quite bedraggled. Cursing under his breath, Han Sha-o grabbed Phoebe and threw her outside with all his strength, roaring, "Leave now!" Phoebe had been flung out whether or not she'd consented. As a sword master, Phoebe had incredible strength and Han Sha-o wasn't worried that she'd be injured upon landing. He was more worried that she wouldn't even have the chance to make a move against the two blood water demons before dying of blood loss first. The blood within his body raged out of his control and surged towards his orifices. Han Sha-o brought out the demon slayer edge, but as it howled and stabbed into their bodies, it caused them no injury. The blood water demons were formed of liquid, and no matter how sharp the demon slayer edge was, they would easily reform after he hacked them into various segments. The two water demons continued to advance toward Han Sha-o after coalescing again. With the blood water demon's abilities, they would be able to suck him dry of his blood in an instant once they covered his body, turning him into a dry husk. As a demon cultivator, the power within Han Sha-o's blood wasn't something any ordinary person or expert in this world could measure up to. The blood water demons also seemed to have sensed this and had set their sights on Han Sha-o as their greatest source of nourishment, completely ignoring Phoebe. Not a single iota of their attention was split out for her as they all focused completely on Han Sha-o, proving the emphasis they placed on him. His blood churning madly, the magical yuan preventing blood from flowing out of his body with all its might. The two forces restrained Han Sha-o's body as his blood frothed, preventing Han Sha-o from moving that much. However, the strength of the magical yuan was also demonstrated in this moment. As a sword master, Phoebe had no defense whatsoever and her blood was already flowing freely out of her. However, Han Sha-o could use his magical cultivation to firmly prevent his blood from flowing outwards. Although the defense was a bit difficult, he'd been able to accomplish the fact that none of his blood had flowed out of his body up until now. The greedy blood water demons were finally about to cover Han Sha-o. Being confined and unable to bring his magical cultivation to bear, he could only rely on his necromancy magic. The bone spear arrows and corpse explosion spell were released one by one but had no effect on the demons. Han Sha-o suddenly understood that the two blood water demons could only be harmed by high temperature flames. However, his magical yuan was completely preoccupied and prevent his blood from geysering out, and none could be spared for the mystical glacial spell fire. Freaking hell. Am I going to die by the hand of two blood water demons? I really don't want that. Forget it, I should be able to deploy the mystical glacial spell fire even if my blood is streaming out of me. Since I've formed the demon infant, even if all my blood and body is lost, I can still be reborn using it. I'll just be gravely injured, but it'll be a lot better than dying. These thoughts ran through Han Sha-o's mind as he made up his mind and decided that he would kill the two blood water demons even if he would be left gravely injured. A mysterious message was suddenly transmitted from the little skeleton at this time, as if he understood Han Sha-o's intentions. The little skeleton sent a conscious feeling over that anxiously asked Han Sha-o to stop. There were no concrete words or language, just a message for Han Sha-o to stop that he could clearly feel. He'd planned on immediately making a move but actually froze, thinking furiously. There were only 5 or 6 meters separating him and the bloodwater demons. He couldn't move and could only stare ahead, unable to see a trace of the little skeleton. If he didn't act now, he might be covered at any moment by his two enemies and have his blood sucked dry in an instant. His body would lose life instantly and the demon infant would likely be unable to escape as well. His entire being would vanish without a trace. The little skeleton anxiously asked Han Sha-o to stop, making him uncertain if he should proceed with his plan or not. As he watched the two bloodwater demons close in on him, he sighed lightly and made a decision that he didn't know was right or not. he would trust in the little skeleton. His eyes suddenly grew resolute as he threw his previous plans away. Han Shao stood where he was and didn't make any move, just waiting for the little skeleton and taking a gamble on his life. The two blood water demons finally enveloped him, and Han Shao could no longer control his blood from splurging out of his orifices like tide waters. A deep wave of despair suddenly grew in Han Shao's heart, but he didn't hate the little skeleton but rather trusted the latter instead. He didn't have any regrets even if he truly died here. Suddenly Han Shao's rapid loss of blood halted like someone had stepped on the brakes. The mysterious power controlling his blood suddenly vanished without a trace, and Han Shao's magical yuan once again flowed smoothly throughout his body. All returned to normal as his blood settled down again. The two blood water demons started thrashing violently in front of him. Han Shao could read from their violent twists and struggles the expression they wanted to express: fear. Han Shao's body could move about freely now after his blood had returned to normal. He looked up and saw some bone spurs sticking into the two blood water demons. The little skeleton was looking at him with empty eye sockets as his body was slightly crouched, two leg bones stamped firmly on the blood water demons as all 7 bone spurs were stuck firmly within them. Streaks of bloody splendor flowed swiftly into the little skeleton's body through the 7 bone spurs. The 7 bone spurs that had seemed to dull flared with bewitching red light as the broken ribs in front of the little skeleton rearranged themselves with a speed that Han Shao could see, also gleaming with a bloody light. In contrast, the two blood water demons that had been a vivid blood red suddenly dimmed as their color surged rapidly towards where the bone spurs were stuck in their bodies. The two blood water demons slowly turned ghastly white, and Han Shao could feel all the chi that they'd collected over who knew how long flow swiftly into the little skeleton's body along with their life force and blood. This situation wasn't maintained for long. When the blood water demons had thoroughly turned a ghastly white, their bodies transformed into 2 puddles of water with a splashing sound and fell to the ground. The mist that had suffused the yard was swept away by the wind, and the waning moon shed a red light over the yard, giving it a few hints of a desolate beauty. Clunk! The little skeleton fell down from midair because he'd lost his support after the 2 blood water demons disappeared. Reaching out a hand to rub his head, the little skeleton's empty eye sockets met Han Shao's. A surge of joy traveled into Han Shao's heart from the little skeleton, and his originally vividly red body started changing once again. Each bone had had blood red splendor sparkling over it, but it had now turned back into its originally pure white color. Since the little skeleton had been summoned and refined as a magical treasure, his skeleton had gone from inky black to blood red. Now he'd changed back, but the stark white of the little skeleton's bones were obviously greatly different from that of a normal skeletal warrior. His bones were translucent and as pure as beautiful jade. It even seemed to be sparkling with eye-catching light, making various thoughts rise in Han Shao's mind. Han Shao finally understood now why the little skeleton had stopped in front of the shop and hadn't moved. He must have been attracted by the blood water demon's energy. Han Shao recalled that last time in Bob Asher's slave trading house, the Calamity Church necromancer Clarendon had used fresh blood to summon the 3-eyed demon god. The blood had been absorbed by the little skeleton in the end. Perhaps it was because of this that although the blood water demons could conceal the scent of blood from Han Shao, they couldn't do the same to the little skeleton, and this was why he'd stopped in front of the shop. As Han Shao thought silently, another wisp of consciousness came from the little skeleton once more. He was actually strongly requesting to return to the other dimension, and Han Shao could clearly feel his ardent desire to exact revenge. Having absorbed the strength of the 2 blood water demons, the little skeleton had undergone a significant transformation. Not only had his injuries from the previous battle been recovered, he seemed to have heightened his abilities as well. This was why he was so confident now. The little skeleton's fighting spirit and requests were quite strong. Han Shao hesitated for a moment and felt that no particular problems would arise if he kept part of his mind on the situation. He then used the necromancy spell to once again send the little skeleton back to the mysterious plane. Chapter 195 Promotion to the Dark Moon Division. Apart from the moonlight spilling into the yard and the 2 puddles of water around the well, there were no other traces of anything else within the vicinity. Scattered footsteps suddenly sounded from outside. They rapidly approached as Phoebe and a band of 10 others appeared in front of Han Shao. Worry filling her face, Phoebe's clear eyes landed on Han Shao's body and visibly relaxed when she saw that he was unharmed. However, She didn't relax her grasp on her longsword as her pale neck swiveled, surveying the surroundings, seeming to want to detect if there was any danger hidden elsewhere. There were a dozen armored Kyra mercenary band guards apart from Phoebe. It would seem that she had led them here. Their eyes were alert as they cautiously patrolled the surroundings. "Are you all right?" Phoebe breathed out a sigh of relief when she took a look around and saw nothing out of the ordinary nor any danger. Shaking his head, Han Sha-Oh cast a glance at Phoebe and smiled in comfort. "Don't worry, I'm fine." "My apologies, Mr. Harris, I think we must have seen an illusion just now. The danger I spoke of earlier doesn't seem to have appeared." Phoebe understood that Han Sha-Oh must have taken care of matters and wore an embarrassed expression on her face, speaking to the stern aloof guard captain. This person was in the prime of his life. Swarthy, with a head full of short brown hair that was messily askew, he carried a double-headed battle axe in his right hand and naturally emanated the violent aura of someone who'd weathered multiple battles. It was obvious that it had been formed through slaughter. "This shop is a place that's been cursed by a demon. All the owners who have taken charge of this shop have died of unnatural causes over the years. No matter who enters, whether man or beast, they will all die from this curse. There has never been any exceptions, so no matter how you entered, I recommend you leave immediately." Harris' eyes roved over Han Sha-Oh and Phoebe's bodies as he spoke coldly. He waved his hand and didn't wait for Han Sha-Oh and Phoebe to say anything before he accompanied his band of a dozen soldiers out of the yard, seemingly unwilling to linger even another second in this area. "Harris is a battle fiend who's weathered hundreds of battles and the vice chief of the Kyra mercenary band. When I said there was danger here just now, he still paid a visit even though he was a bit unwilling. It looks like there is indeed something here that people are wary of. I didn't have any strength to fight back earlier even with my level as a swordmaster." Phoebe went over Harris' identity in a perfunctory manner after he'd left. She then changed the subject and stared at Han Sha-Oh. "What happened just now?" Smiling dashingly, Han Sha-Oh reached out a hand to stroke the well and said happily, "The two Bloodwater demons have been taken care of, so no more odd things will happen here in the future. In addition, I'm going to buy this shop no matter how this place costs." Phoebe's beautiful clear eyes looked at Han Sha-Oh with a look of surprise on her face as she said confidently, "You must have a great deal of assurance since you're saying this." "Don't worry about the shop, I'll take care of the negotiation with the Kyra mercenary band. I think such a cursed place won't be worth much money." Nodding, Han Sha-Oh walked over to Phoebe and wrapped his arm lightly around her, putting his mouth close to her ears and saying softly, "Thank you so much, Phoebe." Her face suddenly flushing red, Phoebe turned back and hugged Han Sha-Oh fiercely, pursing her lips to lightly kiss Han Sha-Oh's. She then pulled back and stared deeply at Han Sha-Oh, saying passionately, "I'm the one who should be thanking you. You threw me out first when danger was in front of us." The danger with the Bloodwater demon earlier had made Phoebe go through a life and death experience. Even Han Sha-Oh's soul had been almost scattered to the four winds. Having survived these two disasters, the two felt a unique sense of the joy of life as they looked at each other now. As the moon shone down on them, it added a few traces of beauty to Phoebe's stunning features. Her eyes shone with light and Han Sha-Oh fell deep into them. He tightened his grasp and held her tightly, feeling her shake slightly in his intimate grasp. A sense of happiness and contentment filled his heart. Before he'd arrived in his world, Han Sha-Oh had been just an ordinary person who had only dared to think evil thoughts. He didn't dare act upon them. His personality was one that was a bit timid. He'd lived 20 years and hadn't paid much attention to anything. He'd never had any women and had lived routinely through 20 years. But thanks to Chu Kanglen's maneuverings, he'd successfully arrived in this foreign world with a heritage of magical cultivation. He'd amassed great strength within a short amount of time, gotten quite a bit of riches, and won the hearts of two beauties. The affairs of the world changed thus, greatly and unexpectedly. What had been far-fetched daydreams 20-some years ago had all become part of his grasp in such a short amount of time. An unbelievable feeling rose in Han Sha-Oh's heart as he sometimes felt that all of this was still an unrealistic dream. However, his encounters with danger and pain again and again reminded him that this wasn't an illusion. "All right, I think Emily must be waiting for us. We should hurry up and make our way there." Han Shao looked at the fading light in the sky after a bout of reflection and spoke tenderly to Phoebe. Seemingly enjoying this moment of peace and romance that belonged to the two of them, Phoebe ascended softly and allowed Han Shao to hold her smooth soft hand. The two of them walked side by side to the location Emily had previously mentioned. Before long the two of them had appeared in front of the shop. There were no longer any customers because night had fallen. A hale and hearty elderly man walked up merrily after Han Shao had walked inside. "Are you Sir Brian?" "I'm not a sir, please just call me Brian." Han Shao bowed humbly to the elderly man and took out his identity token, handing it over with both hands. The elder took Han Shao's iron token and glanced at it, then returned it with a smile. He then said a bit apologetically to Phoebe, "My apologies, Miss Phoebe, please wait here a moment. These are the Dark Mantle's rules that no one may enter if they are not of the Dark Mantle. As the shadowy organization beneath the king's hands, the Dark Mantle naturally had its rules that everyone must follow." The fact that Phoebe, an outsider, could have accompanied Han Shao to this place was already an exception. She naturally couldn't proceed further. When faced with such a polite and benevolent old man, Phoebe didn't maintain her usual aloofness and nodded with a smile, sitting down willingly. "Let's go, I'll lead you inside." The elderly man stooped slightly and led Han Shao in. They walked through a hallway and stopped in front of the living room. The old man pointed inside. "Mistress Emily is inside." The old man returned along the original route when Han Shao walked in, seemingly back to his post at the head of the shop. "Is it Brian?" Emily's voice sounded from somewhere as soon as he set foot inside. A piece of the living room flooring then opened up into a hole, a mechanism similar to what Han Shao and Emily had seen in Bob Asher's room last time. Emily walked out in casual clothing from the hole. There was a fireplace in this living room and the temperature was quite comfortable. This was why Emily hadn't continued to bundle herself up warmly. "How are things? Was everything taken care of?" Han Shao walked towards Emily with a smile when the hole closed up. "No problems at all. My brother is taking over and our mission is done. We succeeded." Hey, do you want to know how much of this was thanks to you?" Emily's alluring cheeks held a trace of mischievousness as she looked at Han Shao. The mix of a youthful playfulness and an adult's maturity in Emily gave her an unusual lure at this moment. Han Shao's heart lurched as his hands reached out and grabbed Emily while he sat down in a chair. His hands roved naughtily around her breasts as he chuckled, "Little hussy, I haven't even punished you for what you did in the tree hole earlier." "Humphrey." Emily threw back her head and glared at Han Shao, saying huffily, "How dare you mention that? You started doing that with Phoebe right in front of me. Were you thinking of me at all?" "Don't think I couldn't see anything because it was dark." Humphrey, Phoebe was panting so loudly and the both of you were trying to put on a normal act. He suddenly lifted Emily's legs up and shifted her around so that she was kneeling on his thighs. Her well-rounded butt was thrust high into the air and much to her surprise he started to spank them harshly. Emily began to beg for mercy amidst the pain. All right, I won't say anything about what you do in the future, you big villain." Emily played along and suddenly switched to a serious tack. "After this time's mission you've advanced from a third dark star to a first dark moon. You've skipped a few levels again." Han Shao started stopping his motions and looking at Emily with confusion. Sometimes completing several missions wouldn't be enough for one to advance one level. "Why did I advance several after completing only one mission?" "You didn't do anything for me behind the scenes, did you?" Rolling her eyes at Han Shao, Emily didn't know whether to laugh or be angry. "Remember, you went up against Bob Asher of the Griffin Legion. The difficulty of this mission compared to the usual scouting for information or arresting some fugitive nobles is completely different. According to your contributions this time, it wouldn't have been out of the ordinary to directly promote you to second Dark Moon. However, you've only been in the Dark Mantle for half a year and promoting you to first Dark Moon was already astonishing enough. That's why we didn't go further." Han Shao understood after he thought briefly about Emily's words and then remembered Chester. "Oh right, Chester should still be in the Valen City Dark Mantle branch. What treatment is he receiving?" thanks to you he's already a 4th Dark Star. This kid is smart enough to be able to be promoted to it just by delivering messages. I never ran into anything that easy when I was running missions," Emily responded with a smile. "Oh right, when will Elaine and Belinda arrive?" Han Sha-Oh was happy for Chester when he heard of his circumstances and then thought of Elaine and Belinda again. "I almost forgot. Belinda was an unexpected gain. If we deliver her to the headquarters and she undergoes interrogation at the hands of the experts there, we'll be sure to obtain a lot of information about the Calamity Church. We'll be rewarded according to the level of intelligence we gain from her." Emily chuckled lightly and spoke happily. "Oh right, what kind of different treatment can I enjoy after advancing to 1st Dark Star?" Han Sha-Oh thought for a bit and immediately asked. This was what he was most concerned about at this moment. "First of all, you'll receive an increase in your monthly stipend from 70 gold coins to 150 gold coins. Of course I think you don't care about this at all. Apart from that, you can use your current level to obtain all information that corresponds to your level from all Dark Mantle strongholds within the Empire. You can use the transportation matrices in all the cities of the Lancelot Empire and don't need to pay any fees. You can command a troop of soldiers in any of the military organizations not to exceed 100 people. In addition, Han Sha-Oh finally discovered that there was a significant increase in all areas of his benefits after advancing from Dark Star to Dark Moon. He was already enjoying so many privileges at the Dark Star division, and being part of the Dark Moon level or even one of the 3 heavyweights would surely come with much higher benefits. No wonder so many people wanted power. It looked like it really was a nice thing.